I'm Lisa, and I'm the mom half of this duo.
And I'm Shada. I'm Lisa's daughter. And welcome to Two Peas in a Plot, our little corner of the internet where we talk all things books.
We read across genres and love everything from underrated gems to longtime favorites.
And just a quick heads up while we try to avoid spoilers, we do talk about what we liked or didn't. So there might be a few light spoilers along the way just to give you some context.
So if you love stories and want to grow your TBR, hit that subscribe button and join the plot. Hello, today our new book to discover is To Catch a Killer by Sheryl Scarborough. This was published in 2017, and the book revolves around Erin Blake, who has lived with her mom's best friend since her own mother was murdered when she was a toddler, a case that remains unsolved. Erin has always been fascinated by forensics, a passion fueled by the books written by her forensic pathologist uncle. And I have to read the back description of the book because it does a wonderful job in describing the book even better than what I could do. So, Erin Blake has one of those names, instantly recognizable, a name inextricably linked to a grisly crime. As a toddler, Erin survived by 3 days or for 3 days alongside the corpse of her murdered mother. The case, which remains unsolved, fascinated a nation. 14 years later, Erin has become a relatively normal teen in spite of the looming questions about her past. But then she discovers the body of her biology teacher and once again finds herself at the center of a brutal homicide investigation. When questioned by the police, Erin tells almost the whole truth, but never voices her suspicions that her mother's killer has struck again. And that sold me on the mystery. Um, I think you'll love this story, especially if you love forensic science, clever clues, and real science sprinkled throughout the mystery. A determined heroine with a haunting past and a sharp mind. Subtle romance tension that doesn't overshadow the plot. It didn't seem to annoy me at all. I think more that annoyed me was a little bit of a relationship with I guess, her guardian and a few times with her friends, but that's normal. You've got to have some of that angst in there, but it wasn't annoying. But I think my favorite character was her uncle that comes in probably after half of the book, but he's referenced throughout. He those writes books about forensic science and solving, I think, a crime. I can't remember exactly what his books are about, but I loved him because he's a very supportive character of Erin, and he has the knowledge to help her, and he encourages her to figure it out. So the book introduces, I think, science in a really interesting way. I have always liked science growing up, but didn't know how to use it in the real world, for a career. But I think this is a great book to introduce another way of having a different type of career if you're interested in that. I plan on reading her second book that is called To Right the Wrongs. I think it will give an answer to Erin regarding who her father might be and hopefully clear her boyfriend's dad of a crime. I think that's where it's going to head, especially with the title of it being To Right the Wrongs, because her boyfriend, let me get this right, her boyfriend's father is in jail, and her boyfriend believes the father is innocent. So I think that's what they're going to try to prove. And at the very end, you kind of have a hint who her father might be, but I'm not going to say anything. But I hope it's true. That's all I can say. And let's see. I just think it was a really good reading regarding the forensic details in the book. I think it all came together in a great story, and so glad I chose the book to read. And I think, Shada, you may have some details of the book, even though you didn't read it.
Yeah, well, yes. And no, and yes. And I do want to say, like, I don't know that you chose the book. I mean, you chose ultimately to read it, but so I have a bit of a personal connection with this book. Cheryl is one of the dystropians. That was our class name. So we both were in the same MFA program in the same class. And I was lucky enough to get to read this it was kind of an arc. It was like a pre-publication version. It was essentially an ARC. So, and if you're not familiar with ARCs, those are advanced reader copies, and the publisher sends those out to, I guess, kind of stakeholders or influencers to generate buzz about the book. So I got to read an ARC. I don't think it was like it wasn't an actual physical ARC. It was more like I think the publisher allowed Cheryl to give some of us copies of it.
How neat.
And it was so I have not read it since I read the ARC, which I guess was 2017, maybe even 2016, because I think you said it was published in February 2017.
Yeah.
So I very likely read it in 2016. Um, and we are in 2025 now. So
Wow.
that was a while ago. But yeah, I know that you love mysteries and forensics and not like super gory, scary mysteries,
Right.
but the ones with a lot of tension. And I remembered, I don't know how we were looking through books or something. And
Yeah, the cover, I have a like a wish list. People call it TBRs. I call it a wish list because I don't usually choose the book or purchase a book until I'm ready to read it. Because I find if I buy too many, then I'm not in the mood to pick them up for some
that,
reason.
that's a
Isn't that
really
weird?
smart way to approach a TBR. I'm the opposite. I just buy things and look at them and enjoy how pretty they look.
I love that, but now that we moved a couple of years ago, I don't have the room to do that. When we moved, I pretty much had to get rid of a lot of books. But I think the cover um, caught my eye and the title, To Catch a Killer. I'm like, oh, this is right up my alley. And being at a YA, I knew it wouldn't be too intense for me. And then you said something about, oh, I went to school with her. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Cheryl is such a cool person. I'm gonna pull up her website right now. So if you hear keyboard clacking,
Okay.
um, she is she I don't she may still write for TV, but she used to write for TV. Like that was her job, like writing for children's shows. And I'm probably butchering her actual experience, but if you just Google Sheryl Scarborough, she also looks like the coolest person you will ever meet. Her is usually different colors. She's dresses quirky and cool. Um, yeah, she's just a really, really awesome person. And I think she got obsessed with forensics. So she turned around and wrote this book to kind of, first of all, write a good story, but also incorporate her love of forensics into this wonderful mystery package.
Can I
Um,
can I interrupt you and read what it says inside the book about her?
oh yeah, go for it.
It says Sheryl Scarborough is an award winning writer for children's television. She holds an MFA in writing for children and young adults from Vermont College of Fine Arts, lives in Washington State, and has always had an obsession with forensics. When she was 12, her home was the target of a peeping Tom. Cheryl diligently photographed his footprints and collected the candy wrappers he left behind. Unfortunately, he was never caught, but the desire to use evidence to solve a great mystery was sparked inside Scarborough all the same. To Catch a Killer is her debut. And I hope you didn't mind me interrupting. I just thought it was a great description of the author. Um,
Yeah, that's so cool. No, please,
I
please
didn't know
interrupt.
if you
I'm
knew
just like
that.
looking at, no, I think I had read that a while back. I
Mhm.
totally forgot about the peeping Tom thing. That's terrifying,
I
but
know.
also what a smart cookie taking pictures
Exactly.
and what a weird thing to just eat candy outside of someone's house.
I know.
But I wonder it was probably, I mean, it seems like it was an adult man, but the candy thing, I wonder if it was just another boy like that lived in the neighborhood,
It
but
could have been an older teenager, maybe. It
yeah,
was
or
nice
just a
yeah.
dude who really liked specific
Candy.
type of
Yeah.
candy. Yeah.
Weirdos. People.
Anyway, she's such a cool person. So it was so fun to get to read an advanced copy of the book, and then yeah, however it came up again, I was like, "Oh, that's Cheryl's book. We like read that one."
Yeah.
So I kind of I didn't force you to read it, but I
No.
know I had
It was
I
an
had
encouragement that said, I'm going to buy that because it
yeah.
takes me so long to purchase a book. I don't know why. I think because I enjoy the perusing, if you call it that, like shopping online for a book and reading the descriptions and going, which one do I feel like reading? And then you have to wait, it's so sad, but a couple of days I could go to the store, but a lot of times the stores don't have, they only have the new books a lot of times or the older popular ones. It's hard to find. Even I've gone to half price and I see more of the new books than I see some of the other ones that I want to purchase. So, and that's just a hit or miss.
This is kind of a tangent.
Hmm.
It's a huge tangent
Hmm.
actually, but you bring up a good point about bookstores. I mean, it would be lovely to be in a bookstore, but like you said, it's all, I mean, they have such limited space.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's what your publisher is willing to pay to have your book. Like, when you walk in, and we may have talked about this before, but when you walk in and there are those tables
Hmm.
in like the display tables, publishers pay premium to have their
Wow.
authors' books there. And I think the same with, it was a very, very long time ago, but and I can't remember which author was giving this kind of overview of the publishing process, but it's like, okay, your publisher thinks that your book is going to do X amount of like
Dollars?
sales or
Hmm.
dollars um, per bookstore. So they have a print run of a certain amount of books, and then they ship those books. And then say you're at one particular bookstore, there are 5 books on the shelf. 4 of them sell in the sales period, like a quarter or for the annual sales period. So next time they're only going to order 4, and then maybe only 3 of those sell. And the next time they're only going to order 3, and then eventually you're just out of the bookstore because
Mm,
you're perceived as not selling,
right.
and that's super frustrating. But the note about our half price, I think it's the same half price over there in
Yeah.
the yeah.
Forget what it's called. I always get the number wrong
Yeah, it's yeah.
with
Um,
whatever.
I used to work right next to it, so I
Hmm.
was very familiar with it. Um, that particular bookstore, I don't know who, or half price, I don't know who lives in our area, but I would find so many ARCs, like young adult
Oh.
ARCs. And that was when I was in the MFA program at
Hmm.
VCFA. So I was getting access. Now, they were ARCs, but the books had already come out because, it's half price, so people are reselling. I don't think you're technically
You're
allowed to sell
not supposed
ARCs,
to resell arcs.
but they appeared
But
in
I
this.
guess if the book's out already, I guess they could
Yeah,
accept
I
it.
think so. And I also think because it's half price, like you're not well, I don't know actually. Anyway, I found some
Yeah.
ARCs and they had just a fantastic YA selection.
Wow.
So it was a very dangerous place to be for someone who was actively doing a master's degree program and being wildly underpaid.
Yeah.
This is a really expensive um, habit. And I think I ended up, you were talking about moving and how you got rid of everything. I got really involved with Marie Kondo, like
Oh,
that whole
yes.
mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one one very enterprising day, way like probably about a year before I Marie Kondoed my whole life,
Mm-hmm.
I went through everything and I cataloged all my books and I had about 850 or 900.
Wow.
And now, I don't know. I'd say I cut it back drastically. I probably only had
Yeah.
about 100. And now I think maybe like 200, but I still it's nowhere near what it was. So, yeah, it was a lot of books.
Yeah.
And then I noticed Half Price started paying less
Mm-hmm.
and I brought in these really beautiful books and like pristine. They were hardbacks, pristine condition, and a lot of them had that really nice gold foil like
Yeah. Oh, pretty.
embossing. They were really pretty. And I got like $15 for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember. It was so many years ago at this point, but the lady, I was like, "Oh." And the the lady at half price who was offering me, like, because you can decide, like, do you want to give them your books for this money, or do you want to be like, "No, actually, I'm going to take them somewhere else."
Right.
And I was like, "I guess I'll take that." She goes, "Your books are really nice." And I like I guess like I she was trying to make me feel better, and I was like, I know that's the point. And they're really nice and you're not giving me back. I didn't
Yeah.
tell her that because
Right.
she has no control over the corporate rates of purchasing from random people. But yeah, I know they're really nice. That's why I wanted some more
Mm-hmm.
money.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Anyway, both of those things were huge tangents. Sorry, go ahead. I
No, no,
interrupted.
you're right. No, I recently sold some of my books back because, like I said, I don't have the room um to store like a bookshelf. I really don't. I'll keep a few that I may reread. I don't really reread books. Maybe I should. Um, I do, if I can get it out. I used to do Kindle because I wanted the electronic copy. I, it's neither here nor there that Amazon changed their way of being able to keep the book or not keep the book. As my brother said, he does on ebooks constantly, and he says, I'm not going to reread any of them, so it doesn't matter to him. And we share the library, a family library, so I can look at his books and read whatever he has bought. But I love Kindle Unlimited, and I think, Shada, you can explain, um, I don't know, the format or the what Kindle Unlimited is, because I know a lot of people I've heard are leaving and going to Kobo, which I don't plan on doing because I love Kindle Unlimited so much. And maybe I'm more controversial, which I don't mean to be. I'm just saying here's a good reason why I'm going to stay with Kindle Unlimited.
KU Kindle Unlimited is very favorable to the reader, and it's a great deal. As a reader, it's a great deal. Um, I think that's interesting that you've heard, I guess authors are moving to Kobo or
Not
readers.
authors, readers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Kindle Unlimited for authors. I feel like if you're watching a BookTube video or listening to like a BookTube podcast, you probably know the structure of Kindle Unlimited is uh, I mean, kind of famously, not unfair to authors, but if there is a book that you're reading in KU, that author cannot publish their ebook in any other store. They
Hmm.
can publish a paperback, but
Yeah.
really, paperbacks aren't where people are making their sales. And KU just happens to be because Amazon has the lion's share of readers and people who are, they're looking for deals, they're looking for lower cost to entry. It's a That's the platform where a lot of people make a lot of their money. And I listen to a lot of author podcasts, and a lot of authors will say like, yeah, I don't love being exclusive with Amazon because that's essentially what being in KU is, but
Mhm.
they make tons of money that way. And a lot of authors, I mean, before indie publishing, even huge name authors, I mean, Stephen King is probably a huge outlier too, but like
Right.
authors have a stable career as an author through traditional publishing, they're not making a ton of money. Like some of them are barely keeping afloat. I remember following an author, her name was Holly Lyle, and I think now she's gotten a lot of her rights back and she self-publishes. She's a fantasy author, I think in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. So
Hmm.
she's had a very storied career, but she has had to take odd jobs. She's had to, penny pinch and cut spending, all while being a very solid mid-list author. So I totally get why. I mean, I'm one of those authors who I'm going in KU. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing KU because I feel like that's where I want this to be sustainable and support me. And
Right.
eventually diversifying, I think, is a very good idea because Amazon, I mean, Amazon can decide they can change the KU rates. So you get paid as like a fraction of a penny for each page that's read, but they could change it even more and then you could get paid even less. Anyway, it's I don't want to say it's a necessary evil because I think that's a way too strong of language to use there, but that's kind of the gist of it. Like KU is if someone is in KU, it's because they are trying to make a living.
Yeah.
And and that's fair. And I know Kobo, I am totally supportive of Kobo's whole ecosystem as well. And they're really trying to make a good run at being the biggest competitor to Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And they've carved out a niche. And I've heard, I can't remember, I think it's Mark Leslie Lefebvre. The There's someone at Kobo who I know. There are two marks that are like in the
Ah,
indie sphere, and I can't remember which mark it is, but I've heard them advertising on other author podcasts, and I really like what they're doing. It's just I went wide with my first book, just really just to make it free on Amazon. I'm not putting any effort into marketing on Kobo or any of the other wide sites, but I've gotten two sales on Kobo. It's for a free
wow.
book.
Right.
And but over like 6 months. So I know their algorithms are different and that kind of thing, but I've sold more free on Amazon with it just sitting there and not running ads and then like, you know, three, four, 500 books on Amazon in the same time period versus two on Kobo. So I, and again, that's not really a fair comparison because I had some traction on Amazon before I went free and turned all my ads off. So it's not apples to apples. It's like apples to some weird hybrid fruit. But again, what it's I love the idea of Kobo, but as an author, I'm not doing Kobo right now.
Yeah. Right. It's just something we wanted to bring to those who might not understand it. I was watching one bookstagram, I guess you call it, and she didn't know why people would be on Kindle Unlimited being an author, and she just said why. I thought she brought up a good point. Why are you going to spend the money to buy a new e-reader, that costs a lot of money when your old one works? And I feel a lot of that, that's to me being wasteful. Um, but I'm also enjoying what I'm reading on KU, and I'm going to stick with it for a while, and my reader works just fine too. But I'm also buying paperbacks. I've been enjoying the hard, I guess you'd call it just a book, regular book.
Okay, so I don't want to ask you too many questions. I have read this. I didn't actually remember though,
Hmm.
like the the exact mystery and what all was happening, all the moving pieces. But I did want to ask you, without giving too much away,
Hmm.
were you surprised by who the killer was? Did you have an inkling of who the killer was?
I had an inkling, but I love when an author takes me and makes someone suspicious because it takes my mind off of who I think it is. And then gives me doubt. And it's like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this really is a good person. And then something happens about some evidence in this book. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's that person. But then you end up finding out that person has a good alibi. So it can't be him. And they've already ruled out this other person. So it's gotta be him or her, I should say. And it was. I think this was a little more obvious towards the end, but it was because the evidence ruled out people, and one person had an alibi that you didn't find out till way later in the book. So
And I
there was
guess the
always
whole like
suspicion.
it's very forensics
Yeah,
heavy. So
right.
it makes sense that that's how like a process of elimination as it goes through.
Yeah, and they didn't get the evidence till the very end, and that's where the all the I don't know what you'd call it, all the action, I guess you'd call it, towards the killer and Aaron happen. So it was a really good book. Yeah, I can't wait to read the second one. I'll probably wait a little while. I'm reading a nonfiction. What do you call that?
Yeah, not oh yeah,
Nonfiction?
historical narrative nonfiction because it's
Yeah,
very story driven, but it's
it
still
is.
nonfiction.
Yeah,
And I want to borrow it from you when
you
you're
you
done.
can.
I'm reading. I know we haven't really we done a like what are we reading right now thing, but
Yeah.
I am still reading, and I had started like three different books, but I got to focus on one. So
Hmm.
I'm reading Mary, An Awakening of Terror,
Good.
and I should have that finished pretty soon. And then I'm trying to decide between Conclave and Pillars of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I've started both of them. Conclave is a lot smaller. If you've seen Pillars of the Earth, you could probably kill a small rodent with it if you
Right.
threw it at someone. But, and maybe I should save this for that when we talk about this, but just going to throw this out there right now. I did not realize the author of the Pillars of the Earth, like it's a big, sprawling historical epic
Hmm.
about building a cathedral, and cathedrals take like 100 years to build. Well, they did back in like 13th, 14th century England. But this author was a thriller author. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
only like 100 pages in, but it is paced like a thriller.
Huh.
Like this huge novel is paced like a thriller. Very interesting. So
I've
I'm
heard of
excited
that
to.
author. I think I've seen, is it Ken Follett?
Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
couldn't think of his
I've
name, but
never
yeah.
really read any of his books, but I've seen the
I think
name.
you might like his thrillers. I think you might like
Probably
this one
would.
too, but yeah, it's very so I feel like that one would go a lot faster, weirdly,
Yeah.
compared to
Yeah.
Conclave. Because Conclave seems like a lot of political maneuvering in a very small, like an actual literal conclave, like
Right.
a small space, almost like a locked room mystery, I
Yeah.
think, kind of. But yeah, there's I've gone way off script, way off topic this entire episode,
So have I.
but um, but it's been a good talk,
Yeah.
and we hope we hope y'all got something out of this. Um, we appreciate you hanging out with us, and thanks for being here and talking about books with us.
And if you love stories and want to grow your TBR, hit that subscribe button and join the plot with us. See you in the next chapter.
Bye,
Bye.
y'all.